So, Harry goes and...
Oh, isn't the little goblin so cute? You make such a great stuffed animal to curl up with when you get tucked in for the night.
So, Harry picks up some cash to drop it on some crap. And we find out in the process that he's practically on par with Steve Ballmer in wealth.
Developers, 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 developers.
So, where did Harry get all this money from? His parents. And where did his parents get this money from? You're not gonna tell me, are you? No, you're not.
Okay then, I'll just make my own conclusion. Harry's parents were involved in a massive Ponzi scheme, but were discovered. So, in order to avoid the reality of being put in wizard prison, they hid the loot, killed themselves, and then murdered Voldemort and framed him for their deaths, so that no one, including Harry, would ever know what really happened to him.
Oh yeah, and on a side note, after Harry got hooked up, Hagrid took some mysterious package out of some vault.
Remember that, that's like important to the story or something.
So, after Harry bought all the crap he needed for school, and Hagrid giving Harry some family history, it's off to platform 9 3/4. Cute. Now, watch this. Harry asks a platform attendant where platform 9 3/4 is, and he's like, dude, think you're being funny? And then this lady walks by, and she's like, come on everyone, let's all go to platform 9 3/4. And then the guy just keeps on walking like he didn't hear her.
9 3/4. Think you're being funny, do you?
It's the same every year, packed with muggles, of course. Come on, platform 9 3/4 this way.
Whatever. Now, wouldn't the muggles be able to see people going through a seemingly solid object? Like that, right there. How come my guy didn't see him? Ugh. And why is it accessible only at the Muggle train station? It's a portal to another train station in a completely different area, right? So why does it have to be in a train station? Oh, I see. The wizards can just head to the regular train station and still be able to get on board the magical wizard train anyway. Ah, I see. And why does this train only seem to go to Hogwarts? It's the Hogwarts Express, I know that, but why is there a train that only goes to Hogwarts and does nothing else? What sense does that make? It seems so inefficient. Why can't the wizards just teleport to Hogwarts? That make much more sense than having a train that's only dedicated to going to Hogwarts. You know, you have to, like, take care of the track and make sure everything's running and have to, you know, keep the train going. So much work for only 2 trips a year. Goodness. So, while on the train, Harry meets up with a boy named Ron and a girl named Hermione. Hermione? Her name's Hermione. Anyway, it's here that all the main characters meet each other, and we have character and personality development. Ron seems laid back and has a love for sweets, and Hermione seems very proper, polite, and studious. Shortly after these 3 students arrive at Hogwarts, we are introduced to another main character, Malfoy. Now, the reason why he is an important character isn't because he's very central to the plot, or interesting, but because he's a foil to Harry and gets screen time. Now, this is unquestionably a child's movie, and really doesn't do a whole lot besides eye candy to attract anyone above the age 13. You may think I'm being a little harsh, but there are numerous examples of children's movies that are very attractive to adults as well. One of my biggest complaints toward this movie is that many of the characters are seemingly annoying and just out of place. Take Malfoy. The movie is presenting to us this bratty little kid antagonist to make us have a higher regard for Harry, and it's obvious in what they're trying to do. From what we see on screen, there really isn't too much to Harry to make us like him. Malfoy is needed solely to make Harry look better, but in the end, We're really just begging the movie to keep this kid off the screen as much as possible. He is pompous, self-righteous, immature, and is also a weasel, a little tattletale. This kid definitely needs a smack or two.
Oh, I hate it when he does that facial expression. Ah!
His character really just leaves a sour taste behind whenever he is given screen time and simply subtracts from the rest of the movie. This really makes Malfoy seem like a necessary evil, which in turn makes his character cliché. So after all that, the kids are brought into the Great Hall to be sorted into the schoolhouses by the school sorting hat.
Okay, I actually did enjoy this scene, especially the hat that has a serious need for Botox injections. But I had a question. What if, like, 3/4 of that first year class gets put in one house? You know, that's a 3/4 majority into one house. What would happen then? We know that the house sorts by personality, but what if most of the kids were exceptionally cunning and resourceful? Now, Slytherin is known for those attributes, so would it be filled to the brim with kids? Would Dumbledore have to make cots for all the kids to sleep on? You know, they can't all just sleep on the couch, so how do you determine, like, what's the max?
Also, why is it that the first two people that Harry meets on the train are the first people in line when entering Hogwarts, the first people to get picked for sorting, and they all end up in Gryffindor? Oh my, look at this. Do you think that's high enough? Does the school really expect people to walk that every day? Time to install an elevator. Wait, where is this located? I don't see any part of the school that's 15 stories high, do you? Well, classes start, and it's here that we are introduced to Snape. We find here that Snape has a rather cold personality, and is not particularly fond of Harry. Now, we can see Snape praising Draco Malfoy in an inconspicuous manner. And, because Malfoy is Harry's opposite, anyone who doesn't mind him is of course Harry's enemy. And so this sets the ground that it's really Snape who's trying to get rid of Harry, which is a question that's asked later in the movie's plot. So, thus far, we've been given mostly character development, but it's now that we begin to see some development regarding the plot. Harry learns that the Wizard Bank has been broken into. Apparently the perps were looking for the same object that Hagrid had taken out.
I wonder what it could be. Now, to not be sarcastic, it's great that the movie is making you have to think about the plot in the background. It really adds suspense. Props to the movie, man. Props to the movie there. Cheers.
The next class Harry takes is instruction on how to fly a broom.
Stop! Stop the movie. It's rant time.
Why doesn't anyone ever ask how any of this is possible? Why does no one ever ask why they can fly in brooms, levitate stuff, unlock doors, or do anything else? Why does no one ask where magic comes from? Or who was the first person or people to use it? Or why all the spells are in Latin? Or how it even works at all? When you see something without an obvious cause, your instinct is, how'd you do that? You're telling me that none of these kids or anyone else in the wizard world ever asked that question. Everything in the universe has a cause and effect. And yet the question is never asked, ever! Oh, very funny, Hermione. Ha ha.